back. We've been on hiatus for a while, but we're back in the studio with our podcast program, The Purpose Podcast, because we believe that everything has a divine purpose. And speaking of having a divine purpose, gonna reintroduce my guy here, Mr. Chris Kelly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
Doing well.
All right. How you been doing, guy?
Man, I have been good. I've been missing this. I have been waiting and watching for the phone call. And when you told me, hey, man, we are ready. Studio is back open. Let's get going.
Well, we had to have some repairs done. We had some upgrades and got some new digs. And
yes, sir.
We want to, continue on. We want to make
Yes,
sure we
sir.
get that message out. We want to make sure that everybody that has a purpose can come here and talk to us about the things that they want to do.
Yeah.
And speaking of purpose and divine purpose, we got a special person here with us.
Yeah. Mike, can you introduce our first guest?
Wow. This is a dear old friend, and, we go way back. And I admired her for so long. She's so beautiful. She in a pink,
Yes.
very
Very radiant smile.
Yeah. And she's an AKA. So,
Hey, okay now.
if you don't know, you should know. This is Miss Cheryl Johnson. Cheryl, you come here every year and you talk about something that has a very divine purpose, and that is the Cancer Coalition here in the Chattahoochee Valley. So what we're gonna do? I'm gonna do this right here, because I got 50 things going on at one time. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and I'm going to sort of head out, and I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Chris Kelly, and he's going to treat you nice, okay?
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right, so don't go nowhere. We'll be right back with more of the Purpose Podcast right here on CCG TV and all of CCG TV's network.
Hello, I'm Isaiah Hughley, City Manager of Columbus, Georgia, and former board chair of the West Central Georgia Cancer Coalition. I will be supporting the West Central Georgia Cancer Coalition in their annual fundraising efforts for their 15th anniversary of Paint the Town Pink. The theme this year is Knock Cancer Out the Park. So get ready for the Pink Glow Fun Walk Run on Friday, October 18th, 2024 at Woodruff Park. To get registered, go online to www.runsignup.com. That is www.runsignup.com, and look for the Paint the Town Pink Columbus. Please join me as we knock cancer out the park in Columbus, Georgia, and the Columbus, Georgia region.
Well, Cheryl, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for hanging out with Mike and I. I like to call him Uncle Mike.
Uncle Mike.
And just coming and giving us some great information, not only us, but our viewing audience, CCG TV. This is the Purpose Podcast. I'm going to turn it back over to my uncle and friend, the mentor. Y'all welcome him back to Michael King, y'all.
All right.
It's such a blessing. You have been such a blessing to so many people. And this is such a serious matter. When we talk about cancer, because I've had several people in my family that have been touched by cancer. Some's not here, some's still here. And, just to be able to come together and say we acknowledge this and we celebrate life, and we are going to continue to fight this.
That's right.
And the common denominator is you. Which bring us to our word of the day. And for me the word of the day is everybody can shine. Everybody has a light, and everybody can shine. You might not be the biggest light, you might not be the smallest light, but whatever light that you have illuminates. And what happens is it reflects on other people. So what we want to do is we want to continue to shine. We want this podcast program to be a blessing for somebody, because what we're trying to do is just be a purpose. That's why we call it the purpose.
Amen to that.
With that being said, Cheryl, you're invited here every year, and I want to steal you.
Yeah.
Or some more things.
Absolutely.
I got a sack back there. I'm gonna put on your head. Might have to kidnap you. So.
I'm where, as you said, we've been friends for many, many years, and it's always a blessing to be here, surely.
Gotcha. Okay, well, I'm gonna let you sign us on off, bro.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, again, this is another episode of the Purpose Podcast, which is under the umbrella of CCG TV. And I like to say under the direction of the one and only, the man, the myth, the living legend, Mr. Michael King. Cheryl, thank you again.
Thank
we
you all
appreciate you for
so
being
much. I appreciate it.
You heard that voice?
He has it.
My music, man. Hey, welcome to the Purpose Podcast program. I'm Michael King, right here with Chris Kelly.
Yes,
He's the guy, y'all. He's going to do the thing here. I'm going to step out, and I'm going to let him handle this, but we have a beautiful guest. Man, I'm looking at her, lips just sparkling, and man, she's looking so good. And guess what, man? I heard she know magic, man.
I think she does.
Yeah, she
I
can
think she.
cast a spell. I don't know. No, she does a lot of things, She
Yes,
is,
indeed.
You talk about the Renaissance man. She's the Renaissance woman. And I'm going to let you take over here and talk about some of the things that she's doing and going to be doing. And we're going to go from there. We got a good show today, folks. So stay tuned right here on the podcast. We're going to be back. We're going to go to commercial break. We're going to be right back after this.
Thank you, Tab. I'm gonna give you a little round of applause because I'm grateful for you being here. Yes, indeed. Come on, somebody, put your hands together. Don't act like. Come on, don't do that. Act like we applauding for you. Make some noise, y'all. Y'all give it up.
Yes.
For Tabitha Lawhorn.
Tabitha, not
look
it's
at that.
Lawhorn, not Longhorn, it's Lawhorn. Hey, now I want to do a quick disclaimer.
Yes, sir.
And I know we were talking to Tabitha. She was telling us about her business and stuff she's doing. Let me explain that we are not trying to promote anybody's business, any individual thing.
Right.
The name of this podcast is The Purpose. My vision is that I want people that has a purpose. And I want them to talk about their purpose because I believe that the more people listen to people that are positive, we are going to spread positivity.
Right.
We often talk about our quote, and I have another quote. People talk about beauty. And you do beauty. You know beauty. You know beauty. And if you don't see any beauty, if there ain't no beauty,
Right.
then you got to create beauty.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
So that's my quote today. If
Yes,
there
sir.
ain't no beauty, you got to create it.
You've got to
And
create
we're
it,
going to
yeah.
create and spread beauty all over the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, I love it.
Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, that message again was presented by none other than Reverend Michael King.
Okay. Don't go nowhere.
Yes,
We'll
sir.
be right back with more of the Purpose Podcast.
Thank you.
Some say
That during that session, can you talk about that a little bit?
One of the things that I talked about was strategy.
Yes.
How during that particular era, Dr. King and his people strategized their movements. Now, there were haters out there. There were people saying, oh, he's going to bring a lot of problems to us poor colored people. But in most part, people realized that if we didn't get together and come up with, first and foremost, the Montgomery bus boycott, they came up with a list of demands that they wanted.
Right.
They sacrificed to
Right.
walk, to get to work however way they could, and not ride the bus.
Most
Well,
definitely.
in the beginning, the bus drivers in the city said, they'll be here in another week. Well, within a month, they wasn't there. And they realized that African Americans were their biggest customers.
Right.
After 3 months, they said, oh, we're losing money. After 6 months, oh, we got to lay some people off. That one is, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to lose my job. So within a year, they realized that they lost that battle. It all came from a strategy.
Yep.
And when I talk about strategy, one of the things that the vision that I had with this podcast, and we came up with the name The Purpose, is to have purpose-driven people on here so we can explain our purpose hopefully that will become contagious.
Yeah.
We're trying to create something that's going to spread around. And if you don't have a purpose, I promise you, God gave you a purpose.
Yeah.
God gave you a purpose.
Yes.
You just have to reach within your heart and find out what it is.
Yeah.
Getting back to what you were talking about earlier, we mentioned the fact that when I first met you, I knew you had a vision. And I wanted to get with you and talk about that and see what we could do to help get that particular vision out there. And I think we're doing it right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue to work with you with other projects.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you're going to do another male initiative program.
Yeah.
And when we talk about the Black Male Initiative, this is not just Black Male Initiative. We're trying to get Black males to stand up and be accountable. But this is for females, this is for white, this is for brown, this is for all types of people. Because what is good for one Columbus, it's good for everybody. And we're trying to make Columbus a better place.
Yeah.
So we're just going to continue to push this initiative and make sure that we can promote this as best we can.
And I think, though, as men, and this is colorless, because as men, we have decided I got to do it all by myself. I'm going to get it done, as opposed to leaning on our teammate. Luke, how do you believe, as we wrap up, how do you believe what he said applies to the vision of your organization and moving that forward?
Oh, man, in so many different ways. First, when it comes to being quote-unquote controversial, sometimes things need to be said to make people feel uncomfortable, because what's more uncomfortable than that statement is the conditions people are living in.
Yeah.
So sometimes you need to say things that make people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And
to wake them up to the
right.
reality.
And then from a more, I guess, finite standpoint, when it comes to organizing coalitions and campaigns, in the world we living in right now, brothers like this, multimedia brothers that have a reach and a following and know how to take a message and push it out.
Right.
That's how information is getting around.
Absolutely.
A lot of the stuff you see on social media and stuff like that, it started from just 10 seconds of talking to a guy like that.
Yeah.
So they're trying to ban TikTok right now.
Most definitely, most definitely, and for me, and that's just part of what Mozzie does, is it brings together voices, influencers, young people, Black and brown, to come together to have that voice. So people like this with influence in the multimedia world are very, very important to what we do, because they are the messengers of this generation.
Wow, that's awesome. Mike, as always, what we normally do, we let you close it out with a word of inspiration, word of the week for our listeners, and to us young fellas, us young ladies that are coming behind you.
Well, and I said my word of the week earlier. And man, what you guys are saying is so profound. I try to surround myself with people that are much younger than I am, because I believe that there are, just like Moses, he was somebody that God had planted. Yeah. There's somebody else that's coming along that's going to take us to another direction. So we just got to be open. We got to be open to people. We got to be open to people. When you came in, and I didn't know you from Adam. You told me who you were, and it's just something about you that it's like, okay, well, why don't you come back? Why don't you come back? Then when you came here, we wasn't really prepared. I didn't know what you were. I don't think you were prepared to come and be on the show, but
I'm always, just to let you know.
Just like a good minister, you got a sermon in your back pocket.
Yes, sir.
He got a ready message, man.
But again, my spirit spoke to me and say, let this brother come up, because he got something to say, and I'm not going to deny you of your message. And this ain't gonna be the first time. Definitely not gonna be the first time for you. Well, getting back to my quote of the day, what I said earlier, we talk about beauty all around us. We see beauty, and we see a lot of ugly stuff. And if you don't see no beauty, you got to make some beauty. You got to make some beauty. So what we want to do, people, everybody listen to this podcast, let's get out there and make some beauty.
Yeah.
Let's make some beauty.
That's awesome.
With that being said, hit my music. Hey, thank you for joining us here on today's podcast. This is The Purpose, and we will see you next time.